Welcome, commissioners, to our first meeting in 2023. Wanted to get an approval for the December 5th minutes if everybody's had an opportunity to go through them. If there's any corrections or changes, otherwise we can take an approval for those. Motion.
A motion to approve.
Second.
Yeah, any discussion? Approval of December meetings passed. Citizens' comments. Okay. Anybody online?
I'd like to make a motion, if I may, to move agenda item 6.1 up, so the ladies here in attendance can go ahead with their
I think we need a
presentation.
motion for that, but if you want to go ahead and change that now, we can go ahead and do that. You good with that? Okay, so ladies, would you like to present to us? Okay, and there should be a microphone on there underneath it. You might need to turn it on. Hold the button down until it goes green.
Got it. So thank you for letting us be here tonight and join in your meeting. And we've been on Zoom, and it's nice to meet everyone in person and not have your faces see. The presentation that I have is actually a narration PowerPoint. So if we could just proceed with that and then maybe do questions or after that.
Hang on, so there's sound on this. Hang on one second, let me see if I can. Hopefully that won't play. Okay, we'll just go from there, right here. Go ahead. Do you want me to forward?
She said there's.
It's got sound that's recorded.
Oh, you want me to play the sound?
Yes.
Yes, okay, hang on one second. Let me go back to that.
Purpose of this presentation is to explain more fully the Liberty Lake project being undertaken by the Parks Commission and the Daughters of the American Revolution. Representing the Daughters of the American Revolution on this project are Rayanna Victor and Janet Albright. Rayanna Victor retired after 53 years in law enforcement. She has had an avid interest in history for decades and been involved in many award-winning historical preservation projects. She is an author and researcher and is a recognized law enforcement historian on a state and national level. Rayanna is a lifetime member of the Daughters of the American Revolution and is involved on a local, state, and national level. She chaired the Argonne Memorial Project and has written many grants for the projects she's involved with. She is currently chair of the Never Forget Gardens Centennial Project. Rayanna is a mother of 2 and grandmother of 5 and is proud to have 11 proven patriots. Janet Albright, that's me. I grew up learning community service and being educated through 4-H, student council, and the local community college system. I've worked 48 years as a dental assistant. Sam and I have retired to 2 days a week now. A mother of 3, grandmother of 9, my husband and I celebrated our 50th anniversary in 2022. With 18 years in DAR, I've served at state and local level. As current regent of Mayhutton chapter, I'm proud of my 4 proven patriots and for how my love of history and my involvement in the Daughters of the American Revolution allows my passions and output in service where I can impact my community and honor my family history. That's important to me. Daughters of the American Revolution was founded October 11, 1890, and incorporated in 1896 by an act of Congress with the mission to promote historic preservation, education, and patriotism. Our motto is God, home, and country. Our membership is over 190,000 members, with 3,000 chapters in all 50 states and Washington, D.C., and international chapters in Australia, Austria, the Bahamas, Bermuda, Canada, France, Germany, Guam, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Spain, and the United Kingdom. More than 1 million women have joined the DAR since it was founded. Any woman 18 years or older, regardless of race, religion, or ethnic background, who can prove millennial descent from a patriot of the American Revolution is eligible to join. DAR has over 50 committees dedicated to historic preservation, education, and patriotism. The United States stands on the eve of a grand anniversary, and the Daughters of the American Revolution are preparing to celebrate the Stars and Stripes forever in a big way. Our National Society established the America 250 Special Committee to plan DAR's involvement and maximize its visibility during our nation's upcoming 250th birthday in 2026. Rayanna and I are currently working on a project to remember our American Revolutionary patriots in the Spokane Valley by placing a DAR American 250 Patriots Marker. The current project we're planning in partnership with the Society of the Honor Guard, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, started out as a celebration of the 100th anniversary of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington Cemetery in Washington, D.C. in 2020. The Never Forget Garden project was so popular that it continues to be a way for communities to recognize and honor our veterans, as well as teaching the next generation about American patriotism across this nation. This project is a nationwide invitation to all Americans and freedom-loving people to plant gardens as a visual way to represent unwavering commitment to our sacred duty to recognize, remember, and honor our veterans and their families now and for many years to come. The Society feels that every flower, plant, or tree planted will be a symbol of love and an act of unity. In the timeless language of flowers, your Never Forget Garden will quietly trumpet the message that we must never weaken one of America's sacred commitments to never ever forget or forsake our veterans or the principles that define us as Americans. In 2020, in anticipation of the 100th anniversary of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, Rayanna contacted Fairmont Memorial Association with the Never Forget Garden project. Working in collaboration with Charlie Peckham, the Director of Operations, who is a retired Air Force Chief Master Sergeant, and Candace Aramburu, Fairmont's Director of Human Resources and Marketing. The 4 Spokane chapters of the Daughters of the American Revolution completed the placement of 7 Never Forget Garden markers in Fairmont cemeteries in Spokane, Spokane Valley, and Deer Park. We also placed one at the Washington State Veterans Cemetery Administration Building and in the Dahlia Garden at the Spokane VA Medical Center. During all of these dedications, we partnered with Craig Fallon, retired military who served as a tomb guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington Cemetery from May 1962 through June 1963. He's a lifetime member of the Society Honor Guard. He's working with us now on the Liberty Lake Never Forget Garden project. During 2021, Craig Fallon was in constant contact with Gavin McAfee, who served as the 11th president and co-founder of Society of the Honor Guard, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. In 2021, Craig's schedule included a 10-day pilgrimage across France to honor the original journey of the World War I unknown soldier, which concluded in Paris at the Arc de Triomphe, French and U.S. government officials. The Society of the Honor Guard concluded their year-long celebration scheduled with the reenactment of the November 11, 1921 dedication of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington. As former tomb guards, Craig and Gavin both attended. The Arlington ceremony included an opportunity for the public to participate in laying flowers at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. You can find out more about that if you Google it. You can see the beauty of this rare opportunity the public had to walk next to the tomb. a privilege otherwise given only to the sentinels of the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard. And there they placed tribute flowers. I'd like to give you an idea of the different kinds of gardens we placed in 2021 in Spokane. Each reflects the location in a slightly different way, but still expresses patriotism, love, mourning, and remembrance. Any never-forget garden can provide an elegant expression of that which deeply resides in the heart of our fellow Americans. I will never, ever forget. I am in it with you. This one is at Spokane Memorial Gardens. Next, we have Woodlawn Cemetery in the Spokane Valley. You can see Craig Fallon saying a few comments after the unveiling. The dedications typically include Boy Scout Honor Guard. At the Never Forget Garden at the Argonne World War I Memorial in Spokane Valley, Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rogers joined in our dedication on Memorial Day. The public is always invited to attend these dedications, as well as our Daughters of the American Revolution members and the Sons of the American Revolution. This one is at Fairmont Memorial Cemetery, again with retired Tomb Guard Craig. This is at the Spokane VA Medical Center. The woman in the center is Claudia Biggs, who started the original garden with her husband when they retired from serving at the VA. The woman on the left is our 103-year-old DAR member, Elizabeth. You're never too old to celebrate and show that we never ever want to forget our veterans. This dedication is at Greenwood Cemetery with Craig Fallon and the girls in the Boy Scouts Honor Guard. The Never Forget Garden at Riverside Cemetery, you'll notice, even though you can't always see the flag, that the flagpole is always part of the location. These are at South Pine Cemetery and Pines Cemetery in the Spokane Valley. The Never Forget Garden at Pines is next to the flagpole and their Veterans Wall. At the original dedication in Arlington in 1921, the Native Americans were represented by Blackfoot Chief Plentycoop. He spoke and then laid his feathered headdress and coup sticks on the tomb, which are part of the Arlington Museum. At his death, he gave his home in Montana to become Chief Plentycoop Park in Pryor, Montana. Rayanna contacted the Montana DAR and they partnered with us and the Parks Service of Montana and the Blackfoot tribe to place a Never Forget garden marker near the statue of Chief Plentycoop. While in Montana, we participated in a wonderful Native American celebration, which included a parade, a 7-bell tribute, a lunch of tribal foods, along with joining them in a circle dance of friendship afterwards. The Blackfoot Honor Guard, made up of military veterans, also represented their tribe at the 100th anniversary Tomb of the Unknown Soldier celebration, November 11, 2021. This is a Never Forget garden marker placed in the Manitou Rose Garden this summer. The city of Coeur d'Alene did a wonderful job of creating the Veterans Memorial Plaza with the flags and seals of the branches of the U.S. military. The plaza is large enough for the public to celebrate the Veterans event. The Never Forget garden marker was placed at the Veterans Bell in McEwen Park. The day of the dedication. This is President of the Society Honor Guard, Gavin McAfee, with the Daughters of the American Revolution at the Veterans Memorial Plaza in McEwen Park, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. This Never Forget garden is at the new Idaho Veterans Home in Post Falls, Idaho. It's part of their garden walk on the northeast side of the complex. The Idaho Veterans Home was dedicated on Veterans Day this year, and the flowers in the landscape are yet to be placed. Pictured are members of the Coeur d'Alene, Post Falls, and Spokane Valley, Daughters of the American Revolution. So what's next? We're in the planning stages. Got a goal, we've got some teamwork started, and I hope through these photos that I've given you more of a vision of what's possible here in Liberty Lake. With all that you've done already, the traveling Vietnam Veterans Wall and your display of heroes banners, I believe we can achieve something really special that will involve the citizens of Liberty Lake with another opportunity to honor their veterans and demonstrate their American patriotism now and for years to come. Which brings us to our last discussion. Where do we want to have the Never Forget Garden Mark replaced? It was suggested Town Square Park, but there's no flagpole there yet. I'd like to hear more from the Parks and Arts Commission.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I would certainly entertain any questions if, or what direction we're going.
I had a quick question. Have you guys been able to visit any of the other parks like Rocky Hill or Orchard Park where there's flagpoles?
Only online, but the Town Square Park that was mentioned, seems to be the more centrally located location.
I
And
agree.
I was thinking, maybe that could be our project of the Never Forget Garden. It could be a stepping stone to something more permanent for veterans, since that park seems larger.
So last time we talked about, or we mentioned perhaps discussing some construction with the Boy Scouts, since they did do their Eagle Scout project in Pavilion Park. Were you able to reach out to anybody?
I did contact their, just online with email, but I have not got a response.
Okay,
Otherwise, no, I
okay.
have no idea. I don't know if that's within the city's budget or how that would work, actually. That's sort of out of my area.
Jen, how did that work when the flagpole was constructed at Pavilion?
I don't know, I wasn't here at that time, but I do know that typically when a flagpole is going to go into a park, it's something that is budgeted from the staffing side as part of the, like, we did that at Orchard Park. So the park went in, needed a flag, we put a budget line in there for it. And Eagle Scout happened to come along. They are hit or miss, whether they are available for projects. They kind of seek us out when they're ready. We happen to have an Eagle Scout who was ready and could do the flagpole project with the lighting, because it has to go together. We can't have the flagpole without lighting. And so the city, because we already had it budgeted to install a flagpole anyway, we were able to work with the Scout to get it installed. We do not have anything budgeted for 2023 for a flagpole for Town Square. We could do something in 2024 to budget for a flagpole, but we don't have anything as of 2023.
Do you have an idea of what the cost is?
No, I'd have to go back and look in the files to see what the cost. I don't remember.
That might be a sponsorship opportunity. And then the other question, and I believe it came up, so I apologize, I don't remember the answer. Do we have a master plan or a location for a flagpole at Town Square right now?
No, and that's most likely why we haven't put one in yet, because there's a bigger picture for Town Square at some point, but that discussion hasn't happened with council quite yet.
Is there a timeline on that?
Not TBD, I don't know.
Last year, we purchased a flag, it's a 50-foot flagpole with a solar light on top. Because Woodlawn did not have one, and they haven't put it in yet. But I'm just wondering, I would think you would need a commercial grade. This is like about that round, and the ones I noticed in your parks now are about that.
Yeah, they're a flagpole that's more commercial industry grade, and they do have to have engineered footings. We can't just stick it in the ground. Our staff, it's got to go through our building and planning, because they have a concrete base they have to sit on. So,
Yeah, the one I bought was $350.
yeah.
So
Is it possible to use that as a temporary location until we could budget something for 2024 as an idea? Something like that.
I like the idea of the sponsorship for, maybe hitting up the local businesses to see it, because I think in aggregate, it probably wouldn't be that, maybe $2,000 or something.
Yeah, it was less, I think it was less than 5, I want to say, by the time we got everything all said and done, we were around 2,000 to 3,000 at tops, but that's with the lighting and everything.
And we do have a beautification line item in our budget, so it is something that we could consider in conjunction with any sponsorships that we're able to get. Is it something that if we want to do it this calendar year, allocating the beautification funds for that project?
Well, if we wanted to do, use the funding or get a sponsorship for in, the town square, would we be able to place it somewhere without a master
That
plan?
was my next question too, yeah. Because I hate to put something in and then
It has
have
to
it
get
not be in line with what the master plan for. the
You know,
project.
assuming that the existing portion of the park that's finished isn't going to be changed, you can put it somewhere in that existing portion. But I don't know what's gonna change, if anything at all, in the current, usable part of the park.
So like, where the farmer's market circle is, like in the middle of
Mhm.
that is probably not gonna change. And that would be
I
a
think so.
highly visible location.
Yeah, we do have a tree in the middle there,
Oh.
so, but yeah, I,
Or somewhere in that.
yeah.
Is the GAR 501c3, so if
Yes.
they were to contribute towards the flagpole, then they could get the tax reduction.
Regarding the flagpole, we aren't. Our commitment financially is the monument, and we're into that for at least $1,000 already. To make, where they're mounted and engraved. So,
The monument in your presentation, it looked pretty consistent across the gardens. Is that something intentional that you guys try to do this? And the mounting of it looks like it varies slightly, but the actual
Right,
plaque
yeah.
itself is consistent in all the projects.
what we're looking at, for Liberty Lake is the one that was sort of the last picture there at the Post Falls VA Center or Veterans Home, I mean, where it's mounted on a stone, the actual garden plaque is.
Okay.
And then it's engraved with, often like Daughters of the American Revolution or the Rotary, the sponsors, if there's other people that want to contribute to that cause.
Laura, do you remember how much is in the beautification line item for this
We
year?
have $5,000. Well, it's been what we've done every year, $5,000 for beautification. And correct me if I'm wrong, we rarely use it because we end up getting sponsorships from us.
Yeah, I think the graffiti barrels came out of that, yeah, hasn't been fully utilized, so.
Because if we have a goal, if I'm understanding, you ladies correctly, that would be for Memorial Day.
Yes, that was originally how it was presented to Mayor Chris. But now that you're bringing up these other things, we are certainly willing to work within that 2024 thing. This is an ongoing project.
Okay.
And if you are anticipating other additions that will honor veterans, it seems like the Pavilion Park is more aimed at the history of Liberty Lake, where Town Square Park has more open venue as far as being able to honor veterans.
Right, well, I absolutely love the idea of it being in town square, and if we can work on the existing area that's already developed, where we don't have to worry about a master plan that's contingent on the development of the remaining acreage, we just take a look at that and consider authorizing use of our beautification fund. And in the meantime, we could maybe research some sponsorships, and if we can offset that usage, but we could at least kind of get the project rolling, because there's so much foot traffic, especially in the summer when the farmer's market is open, and that's when people are out walking anyway.
Right.
And then as the park is developed out, I'm assuming whatever that would be, it would draw more individuals to the area, but that is the most central central place in town. I think.
Rayanne and I went or drove by there this evening, and as you pull into the parking lot, there is a green space that comes out. With,
Sounds like that.
yeah, it's
It'd be a perfect place.
it might be a good location, and there's lighting next to it, so there's a power and everything. I don't know if you're familiar with that particular part of the parking lot.
And are you able to pull up a
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Google Maps, just so that way we can kind of see where you're talking about?
I've been there a million times. I'm
I
trying to
know.
picture it in my head, you know. I was too busy buying blueberries.
Yeah.
The parking lot here and over here is your pavilion.
You're sitting in
This is
front of
right
it.
here, and there's parking here and parking here, and then that just jumps out like that.
It's on the-
You're talking between the parking and the pavilion?
Do you have an overhead? of
Yeah,
that?
on the other side.
I'm working on it.
It's actually on the north
I
side.
think we might be talking the same place, that's why.
But I mean, it really is perfect because it's not too big, but it's not too small. And we do put flowers in there, you know, so I think it would be a real nice place.
Oh, I think I know where you mean. It's the median strip between the lower part of the market and the upper part. And would that be a city property or would that be a Greenstone property?
There's already a statue in that section.
Yeah, see,
Right.
that's not it.
That's
There's
the
another
other
one.
side of it,
That's the
yeah.
other side.
Yeah, I think you're talking the median strip, I think you guys might be talking the same place. That's
Yeah.
the one with the-
So I don't know if the median strip, because that's like a Greenstone.
It's right there.
That one is- There's already a.
See, towards the top of there, see where there's parking and parking and then that green little jut out thing, yeah,
Yeah.
over right here.
I would not recommend that area because it isn't formally and fully developed and will be likely part of this. I would stay in this central part of the park.
Yeah, we didn't get out and walk around or anything, so.
Well, we could look at, there's two areas that are circled by sidewalks. There's the triangle looking one and the,
Right.
well, they're both kind of triangle, the smaller one and the larger one. And
I mean, you go on that right there. We just have to kind of coordinate a little bit with farmer's market on their layout of how they lay out their tents.
right,
Yeah,
Yeah,
the vendor tents take up a lot of the green.
but if we shot for one of those middle areas in that green space, then,
This one,
or yeah, or the one, I was thinking that one. The
I think
bigger
if you
one.
go maybe back towards the corner, my only concern within the middle of the green space is the event stuff,
Oh,
right? Because if you're right in the
Like
middle, then it
corners.
might limit any future events that you want, but kind of in that back corner, it looks like there's already a small garden bed. Where if you incorporate that.
oh, on the right there?
Yeah,
I was
I mean,
thinking maybe towards the road, there's that little it's just shrubs right now. It's kind of that in right,
Little over down, right?
yeah, down right
Yeah,
there.
right there.
Yes. Actually, it's not that big, but it's actually bigger than what it looks like, and I think that would actually be.
that would be
Best
good. Is it
place.
too close to the entrance trailer, the big entrance?
that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
But I think it might be worth a field trip just to.
Yeah.
And I
Go out and
think
not
maybe
swim out there.
a flagpole could go right in front of it, and that would probably look good with the yards there or whatever.
And great visibility. What's the access, power and electrical for lighting? I mean, I know we have it there, so it's
We have it,
reasonably easy to pull to there. or
I
do we
think
need
so.
to be-
The challenge will be the concrete.
That's what I was going to ask, if we know which side of the concrete.
I'd have to get back to that. Yeah, I think we need a field trip.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great location and a great opportunity to work with you guys. It's just,
In lieu of
I
time
think
for
it's
today,
fine.
let's go ahead and maybe we can charge each of us to go out there and take a look at it, or if anybody wants to meet with me, I'm happy to go out. Just email me during the week, and then we can decide where we'd like to go for this. Probably by next meeting or the meeting after, I would think, especially if we're gonna pursue. I mean, if most of the commissioners here think that we would like to pursue Town Square as a location, I think that would be pretty simple to approve that and then get use of the beautification funds.
And then staff would request a timeline, you know, can we put put your flag in prior to a flagpole going in, or does the flagpole have to be in first? Because we have a lot of other projects we're starting out with this spring, so we would need to make sure that staff can manage the project.
Okay, so you get back to me on that.
I mean, would it be acceptable to put the flag in if the flagpole hasn't quite been installed yet?
Right, as long as we're not interfering with that. I'm working with, the stone and landscape guys at Gibson's Nursery. And so he told me to give him the heads up in February, which certainly be doable by May. And then, yeah, so.
Yeah, okay.
We were trying to coordinate it with your Memorial Day with that, Memorial Day ceremony with the Rotary, and we're gonna try and liaison with them so that it all kind of holds together.
Mhm.
So Janet, I still need to schedule you for a presentation of the Rotary.
Right, yes.
And I know the second's available and the 16th or 17th. The 9th is taken, but,
Yes, you and I were talking on.
yeah, I got your information, so I'll be contacting you.
Okay. Yeah, because to have a rotary, whoever we need to have also engraved on the stonework, it's, we'll need to know that as well. And just maybe,
Because something tells me we'll want to be part of that.
yeah,
Would you need to have the sponsorship information by February as well, or you just need to give them the go-ahead that you want to move forward with the project?
yeah, February,
It'd be nice to have
actually,
the sponsorship
yeah.
information.
Yeah.
It'd be nice for you to know, so you're not taking that much out of your budget rather than
Right.
that much.
No,
out of your budget.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Just
So we
wheels
ordered
turning in
a
terms of
stone
timing.
roll. Now, you were talking about the electrical and all of that. If it's a problem, could we do a solar thing, or would you prefer to do the electrical?
We've tried those on a couple of our flagpoles, and they work okay for temporary situations. We did fight the solar quite a bit. They're a little bit unpredictable. And so we definitely get phone calls when we don't have a light on our flag. So it was a bit of a maintenance challenge, but until we installed in-ground power, it was a temporary solution. But that was 3-4 years ago, so maybe they've come a long way since then. I don't know. But yeah,
Think that'd be easier than going under this.
oh, certainly, yeah, certainly. But we did have our own issues with some in the past that didn't work as well as the uplights that come up from below, and they're more consistent, it seems like, so.
Well, you don't have to cut the concrete.
Yeah, it's gonna add to the
Tobacco and
top.
push it down, I mean.
Especially with all the concrete. Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you. Very nice to see you in person, like you said, you're on the video.
Can we move on to staff report?
So I'm gonna request that we move this first one down to our discussion on number 7, because it ties in with that. We'd like to welcome Noel as our new commissioner, and
Welcome.
congratulations to Laura and David as reappointments from our last council meeting. Well, you were reappointed, I think, the meeting prior to that. So we now have a full house. We moved Bob Schneidmiller to, he was adjunct, and now he is in position 3, I believe. He's a voting member now. Bob, can you hear us?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I appreciate, inviting me back as a member, and especially as a voting member. I appreciate that very much. And I'm looking forward to the meetings. I can actually hear and understand this time. Last time I couldn't. But I will return mid-April, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody.
Good deal. And I think we're using our microphones more, so that probably helps a lot on your end.
Yeah, okay.
Well, would you like to say anything? Introduce yourself and a little bit about you?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Well, I'm very happy to be here. It's, moving back to my hometown as an adult has been an entirely rewarding experience so far. And I'm excited to get to know all of you and be more involved in outreach in our community. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, and the ones that got their picture taken, you have photo ID badges now. Those are for things like if you work the barefoot event or like you work on the side. And I can get some lanyards and bring some lanyards the next time around if you don't have any laying around the house. They're a little bit easier than clipping on. So we can go to that. And David was here. He was gonna take pictures today. If he floats back in here, we'll get pictures for you, Noel, so that we can get you an ID badge. And we would like to get a new group photo now that we're all updated with the current members.
Wonderful, thank you.
And then, so Lena was pretty consistently the person who provided council reports. Try to do that once a month, so I'd like to maybe get some feeler for who would like to take that on. It doesn't necessarily have to be the chair or the vice chair, but it could be anyone. Just month by month, if we can count on maybe the first or the third meeting of council to provide some kind of a Parks and Arts report, give them a heads up on some projects that we're working on, heads up on things that might come on the agenda down the line, so that it gives them a chance to ask questions and get feedback. So I don't know how you want to work that. I can happy to send out an email ahead of time. We can discuss it in a meeting ahead of time. It's whatever you want to do. I don't know if you have any thoughts.
Well, I'm happy to do it some of the time, but it almost would be nice maybe to rotate it around a little bit so the council would get to know.
Some of the commissions rotate, some use their chair pretty consistently, so it's whatever you want it to be. I know not everybody's able to make it on Tuesdays.
I think rotating sounds like a good idea, if everyone's able.
And do you think the first or the third, maybe the third would be better because we've already had a meeting?
Maybe
Prior to that, there won't be that conflict of maybe our meeting coming after the first.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
How far in advance, if there's something for their agenda packet, do you need it? Would that allow time at our meeting the first Monday and then their meeting no?
It would if it's the third, if something.
The
has to go
third,
on the
yeah.
agenda, the
That's what I was
third
asking
week.
for the third week, we'd still be able to make their agenda packet.
What is the
I think that
deadline? The meeting's on Tuesday and the agenda has to be.
Agenda's approved the Wednesday prior at noon.
Okay.
So, or the agenda gets put together the Wednesday prior at noon. So the third meeting sound fairly consistent and, okay, perfect. Or third week, not the third council meeting. All right, and then it's that time of year to do Open Public Meetings Act education and certification. So I will be sending everyone an email to renew your certifications. It's been at least a few years since we've done it. If you have questions, let me know. There will be links in there. You just go on the link, you listen to the webinar, whatever it is, and there's a certificate that you'll fill out when you're done saying that you completed the training. You'll send it back to me, and then Kelsey, our city clerk, will put that on file. And that is a required training of all commissioners and council members. So I'll send that link out here.
Jen, what was the email regarding some certification that went out? It was in December, I believe, something I did online.
That might have been it. So I did already send it to some of the new reappointed, and
Okay.
John got it. Noel, I don't think I've sent it to you yet.
I think you have.
And maybe I did. So if you've already received it, in that case, just disregard. I'm gonna send it out to the entire commission because I can't remember who all I sent it to and who I didn't.
I
So,
think it was just watching a video.
Yeah.
Correct, to recertify.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
and then fill out that certificate. It should have been attached to it. So. All right, that is all I have on my staff report. Are there any questions? Oh, I do have one last thing. This is really cool. And I just found this out on Friday. We had a discussion. I'm going to show this picture. We had a discussion at the last meeting or the meeting prior to that about the boxes. Remember when I said a gentleman that we purchased the dummy boxes from came back and asked if we still had them because he'd be willing to purchase them back. Well, our staff was doing a surplus roundup of things that we don't use anymore. And this is what my public works yard guys sent me. this is what we have sitting out at our public works yard that I didn't realize we still had, and they are unwrapped and they are still at your disposal. As dummy boxes from way back. Cause he said, oh, should we surplus these? And I'm like, no, don't touch those. Those belong to Parks and Arts. So. Just putting that out there, we'll keep them,
Yes.
and an idea to see if someone wants to sponsor one and wrap it. Place it somewhere. Huh, that's cool.
I still have to meet with Lena to talk to her about feeding the information, so I'm up to speed with the sponsorships from Spokane Teachers Credit Union. So let me circle back with her, and then hopefully I'll have something, maybe we can put those to use and
Okay.
talk about it at our next meeting.
So it looks like there's 5, 3, 4 that are more horizontal and one that's more upright.
Are any of those functional in terms of storage use, like the pickleball boxes?
Yeah, possibly. It depends on how they open. I know the guys said there were issues with some of them, the way they opened, they were so heavy, they would come back down and it wasn't worth trying to utilize them because they're not necessarily safe. They're not meant to be open and closed in and out. More, I would count on them more for being just decor. All right. That's all I have.
Thank you. So moving on to unfinished business. So we all handled Daughters of the American Revolution. Next up is to vote for chair and vice chair. I took it upon myself to have some discussion with a couple of members. And I am willing to serve in the vice chair again, and Nancy hasn't backed out already. I'd like to nominate her for the chair position. And if there's any other nominations, if anybody would like to fill in for chair or vice chair, please let it know now. Otherwise, we'll railroad, I mean, vote.
That'd be the motion. I'd be happy to motion Nancy as
Please, we accept the motion.
chair and David as vice chair.
Anybody second that?
I'll second that.
If everybody's in favor of Nancy as chair and myself as co-chair, just raise your hand. Okay. Motion carries. That was very quick, Nancy.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Thank you for your confidence. I appreciate it.
Next up, the Hooptown Court call to artist procedure. So Nancy, would you like to talk about that?
Well, of course, you know, this is kind of my pet project. I'm really excited that the council has approved the budget. So now we're at the portion of the project where we need to put out the call to artists. And Laura graciously agreed to put that together. It's in front of you now. So Laura, maybe you want to just briefly go over that?
Absolutely. So we used the same template that we utilized for our previous call to artists. I have today's date for us reviewing this. However, the submission deadline or the open window wouldn't start until the 18th. This would go before council at the next meeting. And again, my understanding, Jen, is not necessarily approval, but just support of the project and keeping them in the loop of what our intentions are in moving forward. So that way, once we do have artwork, it's not a surprise to any of the council members. The stipend that we allocated was what was discussed in the previous budget of 12,000. I think we'll kind of get a feel from the artists if that is.
And that's 12,000 per court.
Oh, I don't, oh. So I would move that we amend that, because when I looked at the Hooptown for their single courts, it was 8,500.
Okay.
So instead of going 24, I think we could go 17.
Yeah, and we picked an arbitrary number. So if you have data, that's great. But
And that was just on their call of what they, and I'll double check that on their website, but their last call was I believe 8,500 per court, and they had 3 courts.
so maybe we take that 8,500 and times 2 it, and that's our number.
That's what I would propose.
Okay.
Okay, so. And I guess for clarification then, I didn't have this, we're not treating these as 2 separate courts, it's one include, right, full mural covering the 2 full courts.
Yeah, and I mean, as you can see in some of the examples that you very thoughtfully put together, thank you. That some of them are a little more separated, but yes, it's an all-inclusive theme. Mhm.
And so going on to the theme, we had discussed in our last meeting, or I guess I'll continue kind of just walking through the different sections. So the artwork location is the double courts in Pavilion Park. I just included a picture of the courts from Google Maps, so that way there's easy identification for artists. Eligibility, just that we want to complete this project in the 2023 calendar year. And then also noting that there is not a set timeline because it is weather dependent and contractor and material availability dependent. So we need someone that is preferably local or can easily pivot to be able to accommodate a moving schedule. We talked about not having a specific theme for this. So I put in there that there is no specific theme, but we would like for them to draw inspiration just from our local history and our natural surroundings and influences, while looking at our individual community characteristics as well. So I think that that'll leave it pretty open. I know Lena had worked with an artist who put together a proposal, and we'll certainly include her in our call to artists, and she kind of picked up on a water theme, which was nice. The other thing is just making sure that we're allowing for the court lines, because it's very important that we're able to see and that the users of the courts are able to see the lines. We said that they are invited to submit examples of previous work, and this number was just, again, kind of taken from previous calls that we've done, submit up to 4 proposals per artist. We feel like that number needs to shift, or if we don't want to cap it, we don't have to. It was more just so it's kind of a starting point, and that we don't necessarily get one artist submitting 20 different concepts where it becomes a lot to read through. And this is the kind of the end piece, that use rights. That was something that had been previously reviewed by the city lawyer. And so I left all the verbiage the same on that, so that way we don't have to change anything. I did create a shared Dropbox where artists can submit their proposals, and then we'll just pull it from there. The only thing, and it's highlighted, and Jen, I apologize, I've been having issues getting into my city email for some reason, is just if we can find a blank court template. The one that you sent me, Nancy, from Hooptown has the multi-care logo. So I didn't want that necessarily, since multi-care is not necessarily a sponsor for these courts. So, or if we can ask, is it Ryan, if they can scrub it and just give us a blank double court template that we can include in here. So that way the artist can utilize that to sketch out their proposal.
I can certainly ask him, and then maybe you'd have some too, but I'll ask him.
I know you give me the zoomed in of the Google Maps one, and we can try using that. I just thought we had a PDF, a blank PDF.
We don't have anything, the Google map is the closest thing that we
Okay.
have.
And so then in the appendix, so once we have that, we'll put in the appendix, but then, and again, this came off the Hooptown website. There's just examples of murals, and then I directly linked the Hooptown, what they did with Spokane Art for their last call. It showed which murals were selected, as well as I think like the other 5 finalists. So it just gives a good kind of overview of what the scope of the job would be, and what that could potentially look like. So just lots of examples for potential artists to kind of get their mind wrapped around what that would look like. Oh,
You did a fantastic job, I think. But yeah, if you just amend it for the 8,500 ton 217.
I'll do that. And then if you don't mind asking Ryan for a blank double court template,
I'll email him right away.
we'll pop that in the appendix. And then Jen, would you, if the commission approves, would you like the updated copy to send to council ahead of time, or would we just be letting them know that it's going?
Yeah, no, it'd be good to probably get that ahead to them. So yeah, why don't you send me that?
Okay.
The whole budget's good.
So it's not gonna be 12,000, it's gonna be 8,500.
No, it's gonna be 17,000. So 8,500 was what they had allocated for a single court, and since we're double, we were just going to take that number times 2.
Oh, so 17,000.
And that's within our budget, so.
Yes, if we had 12 for each court, that's well within our budget.
I don't know what format, because I don't remember, I didn't look at it close enough, the template is in, but is it something that we could take that and like color in the circle for multi-care if I couldn't get one from
Oh,
Ryan?
I could probably do that. I'll look at that too. Actually, I didn't even think of trying to. Cause it has, and I don't know if we're gonna put that, cause they have Hoop Town down the sides
Yeah,
and then multi-care in the middle. And I don't know how, if we want it to say Hoop Town down the sides or.
well, I think that's gonna depend on their final sponsor.
Yeah. So that would be a little harder to.
I will ask him, but I just wondered if we can't get it because he's still kind of in the transition. I don't know. Because of Connor leaving the organization, so he's not been privy to all the information.
It's in PDF, so if nothing else, we could just put like a white circle, right, to block it out. I think the more critical piece is the lines for the court.
Right,
Agree.
yeah, oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll let you know right away, but I'll email him first thing.
Okay, thank you.
Noel and John, this is the process that we use to put together the call to artists for both the sculptures in Rocky Hill Park and the village together, and also for the mural by the Snack Shack at Pavilion Park. So again, thanks to Laura for being totally organized on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm gonna take a little prodding this way.
Any questions for Nancy or Laura?
And just for John and Noel, do you know, understand what the project is? We've just been kind of talking about it, but there's double courts by the skate park at Pavilion Park, and it's to create a full court mural for the 2 courts to kind of have functional urban art, if you will.
Yeah, it's awesome.
If you've ever been to there's a real spectacular one at Riverfront Park, just below the new podium there by the kids' playground. It's just phenomenal if you have a chance to visit.
Well,
That's an
the
amazing
examples in
park
here
itself.
they're stunning, and even if you just go to the Hoop Town website that's linked in the document, they have parks across all throughout the city that they've done the murals on, and it's pretty spectacular. Yeah.
Okay, moving along. I am going to reach out to Mark Bitts regarding the story walk. And again, for those of you that are new, that is going to be the podiums for the book art, the reading book that we have out at Rocky Hill Park. So we're going to be doing that as well. Some project of ours to do that at Orchard Park. And so Spokane Valley Tech, the students there designed and fabricated those stands. If you've been out to Rocky Hill Park, and they decided that, at least last conversation I had with them, which was last year at the end of the year, that they were going to take that on, but probably not until February. So I'll have a call out to Mark probably this week to kind of get a feel for if they're still on board with that.
I had a question. Is the renewal of the book every other month? Who's been making that happen?
So Jandy has been emailing me and as well as some of the staff. She's on it at least quarterly, but I think she's probably going to go even more frequently than that. I think the last changeover was after about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be more than quarterly. That was what I was doing, was reaching out originally to the library to have it changed done once a quarter, but she's wanting to do more frequently, which is okay with me. And as long as obviously staff is willing to get it installed, and they have the time to do that. I'll have more to report hopefully in our next meeting. Let's move on to action items. So I was talking with Jen recently about at least maybe the idea of getting together for as a workshop outside of our normal meeting. We're talking about a little bit more about what our job, what our role is as commissioners, from the creative side to the checks and balances side. One of the things that I did question was, in the last minutes, we actually read it from the splash that the shade was approved at Rocky Hill Park. And so my question that came up was, are we going to, as a commission, are we going to be involved in decisions like that? We are already involved in some decisions already with the costs of rentals for the pavilion, with the costs of renting ball field space. So should we be involved in those decisions? But we don't obviously need to decide that today, but I thought maybe it might be a good opportunity to meet for a workshop sometime and decide how much do we want to be involved in commission on the day-to-day affairs of the city as far as what relates to parks and arts. Jen, kind of on the same track that you were thinking.
Yeah, you know, some of these, and I printed out the CFP portion for the parks for you to see what it looks like. It's a process that we go through with council as staff. But it showed you for 2023, some of the projects that were identified and approved by our city council. So if the commission so chooses to be part of the discussions of these, a lot of them are just asset management. On occasion, there's a project like the shade structure. It's been on the CFP for several years and has not been implemented. We actually started moving forward with it this spring. Sheriff Slocum did, which I attached to the two options we received, just so that you have some info. But both are outside of our budget, so that puts us at a stop at the moment, so we can figure out how to find a shade structure that's under budget or within budget. Staff will definitely need some clarity on how much you want to weigh in on all of these projects. We need some definition of where does it start, where does it stop? And from everything from a plaque, a simple thing as a plaque, to a shade structure, to, you know, we've got Pavilion Park Playground coming up in 2025. That's an obvious, you know, something that we would have the commission weigh in on, because there's a theme, there could be an art design to it or art piece to it. A shade structure is a shade structure. So I don't know, I guess it will have to be a discussion that the commission has, and then provide guidance to staff on some good hard lines. Where does it begin? Where does it end? On what we need to update you on, and what you'd rather just let staff handle, or council, you know, obviously has to end, especially on these capital items. This is all council's approval. Then it's kind of interesting. As I was going through this to print for the packet, I did happen upon the unfunded projects side, which are projects that are on the council's list, their priority list. They're just either TBD, and they're all unfunded at this point. So they're for future discussion. None of them have been even put on the capital facilities list as of right now, but they're projects they wanted to dog ear for future discussion. And since Dog Park has been on, you know, your radar, it's a good communication tool to let you know that the council still is considering it. They haven't said take it completely off and don't speak of it again. They have left it on there for a reason, so.
I mean, I fully support having a workshop, because I think not only as commissioners, but staff and council, just some clarity on what the expectations and roles and responsibilities are. I'd be interested to go back. I know this was years ago. We had a document, not the one that we created, but I think one that you sent out. Maybe it was, I know as well, Mayor Peterson was still in office, so it'd be nice to go back and relook at that document. I stumbled upon it in my emails when we were talking about some other stuff.
Public policy, the art policy.
Yeah.
So I went through that, and it was very art centric. It didn't include anything regarding decision making on park projects.
Okay, because I know the document that we created as a group had more of that and broke out a little more of the roles and responsibilities. So it'd just be nice to have that clarity, because I agree, you know, the dog park is something that we discussed, and new construction or park improvements, you know, where's that line? To your point, a shade structure, I mean, that could be something that becomes more artful or
functional art, right? Where it serves its purpose as shade, but also has an artistic enhancement to the park. Just really understanding.
Yeah, and another thing that we'll want to discuss is if the commission wants to be involved and they decide to be involved in these decisions, we have to make the timeline work. Because there are times when staff has to get something done and we don't have time to wait 1 month to the next Parks and Arts meeting to make a decision. That's a huge part of it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just piggybacking off of what Laura just said, I mean, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer that we should be involved on something new. In addition, something that really changes the look and feel of a park. If it's a routine maintenance thing, then maybe not so much. But something that, you know, the community is going to see and use and that's going to be, you know, visual and part of the park experience, if you will.
I think some of the asset management items are pretty easy to approve and talk about, like the costs for using the rentals and whatnot. But personally, for me, I'd like to be involved and try to stay creative as a group. And so I think we do need to meet because this is our 5th year, if I'm not mistaken. We've been talking about it for a number of years, and I think it would be great if we had a couple hours or an hour and a half carved away on a Saturday or a day that we come here to council chambers, if that needs to be done, and meet as a group. I don't think we need to meet here, do we?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We've got to have the public
Okay.
set up.
Okay.
This is the easiest.
So,
I think it'd be great. And I think the other thing too, which we've talked about off and on over the last 5 years, is kind of having a roadmap, right? Because I think one of the issues or concerns that came up with the DAR was just, you know, we had talked about a project, but it was, you know, it was kind of in the horizon, but it wasn't set. And then, you know, so when other projects come on and are looking at locations, we kind of have this master plan of, well, we know we eventually want to get to this project and this is the location that we have allocated for it. And then be able to have that discussion of, do we move something, or just kind of having that more long-term vision.
Right. How long do you think that we would need for? a
well, I'm
workshop?
thinking about, could we use council chambers on a Saturday morning?
Yeah, we could, or we could schedule an off Monday.
Like a 4 o'clock.
Yeah. That might be,
Like a 4 to 6.
It would have to be, for me personally, it'd have to be earlier because I have a commitment on Mondays at 5:45. So,
3 to 5,
what's that?
3 to 5.
3 to 5 would work with me.
Unfortunately, not for me.
Can you do Zoom?
I'd have to be late.
We can pick a different day.
Yeah. Is there a better day of the week for you, think?
Friday. I could do really, bear with me a second. I could do the 25th of this month, which is a Wednesday. From 3 to 5.
I'll be in Arizona.
What's up?
Wednesdays are my
I'll be in
strength.
That
That sounds very
Well,
nice.
let's go, it doesn't have to be this month, but,
Just so I think everyone agreed that we need to allocate some time to really take a look at it.
We could do a longer. February 6th, we could do a longer meeting. I mean, heck, council goes for 4 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
If we did a 2.5, get through our business in half an hour. And
That would
then,
work for me.
why don't we can we move the meeting to 3 o'clock and then just.
No else.
Well, Kim.
she could come in, if we do the February 6th meeting, or you're talking February 6th?
Yes,
Could you come in at 4 at least and come in through part of it?
Yeah, 4 people. She just can't come early.
Can't come early at 3.
then maybe do our regular business from 3 to 4,
Yeah,
and then 4 to 5, we could spend that time for discussion, or 4 to 5:15 or.
yeah, or however long it needs
Okay.
to.
So everybody here, Bob, can you make the meeting on the 6th at 3 p.m.?
But there's a possibility I can't.
Okay,
Okay, this is the issue. I am retired. Okay. And as long as I can, log in through Zoom, I can be there.
And that'd be a possibility with me, because my
Okay,
mom's in
that's
a
fine.
rehab place right now, and I might go just, she might move back in her house.
Well, so what I'm hearing is we can go ahead and schedule that for 3 o'clock. Okay, so our 3 to 5, plan on 3 to 5 to 5:15. On the 6th of February, here in council chambers.
Could you send the two documents that we do have, the one that was created by the commission and the one that you said is more art centric?
The only one I have was, that I could find was the public art policy one. I don't know of another one. The ordinance lays out some of the responsibility of the commission. But I don't,
Okay, I'll go back.
yeah, see if you can find it, 'cause
it.
I went through and was looking for that document, because you kind of refer to it in an email, and all I could find was the public art policy, which was adopted by council, but it just,
That's the one that we generated?
yeah, In
Okay, I'll go
2019.
back and find the other one, because I know I had,
yeah, it wasn't.
maybe it was never actually adopted. So it'd just be nice to have that.
I
background.
couldn't even find a draft, so see if you can find something. Yeah, I couldn't
Okay.
find anything.
Challenge accepted. See if I, this is a figment of my imagination now.
Anything else for the good of the mission?
Well, I just want to mention, I think the ideas that were just thrown out are excellent. It will give us a chance to more focus on those items that we're interested in. And so I think that will build upon the Parks and Arts Commission involvement with the city and the council. So I'm all for it.
Go ahead and end the meeting. And with that, we'll go ahead and close.